Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today, we'll be speaking with a 42-year-old mom from Canada who worked as a graphic designer and art director for 20 years before committing full-time to running her own supplement business, Ruthless Sports Canada, her coaching business, Kersten Coaching, and she is committed to being a professional athlete and killing it at that. She started her competition journey in 2019 and won her pro card in November of 2021 at the Natural Canada Pro Qualifier before going on to her professional career with 5 shows under her belt, including this last weekend where she won the Masters Bikini overall title at the Vancouver Pro Show for the second year in a row, making her the ongoing champion. So I'm very excited to welcome to the show, Karen Wall. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much. That was a really great intro.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you like, I have fun
Thanks.
writing them, honestly. I'm like, let's get the hype going.
Oh God, you make me sound so good. Thank you.
You are amazing.
Oh,
Seriously, you're amazing. Like I said before we hit record, like I've been so excited to talk to you. You inspire me a lot, not just as a competitor, but just as a woman all around. And I know we're going to have a lot to learn from you. So let me start off by asking if there is a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage.
ooh, that's a good question. Not so much. I usually just try to keep to myself. I'm usually pretty quiet. I always have Andrew, my partner, with me, and he's just the best at being there for me and just anticipating my needs and helping me get ready. And I would say that he's kind of my number one routine before before I step on stage. In terms of when I'm actually just standing there, I'm really just in my own head and just trying to breathe and stay calm and focus and just really enjoy the moment because it just goes by so fast and then it's done and then you're like, oh,
Yeah, it really
yeah,
does. It's over in a blink. It's like you want to
it
be
is
totally there for the experience.
for sure.
Now, I'm curious to hear more of your journey from 2019 to now, because you've never, and this is not the only reason, but you've never placed out of the top 5 except for one time, and that was this past June at a very competitive show, the Toronto Pro, right?
That's right. That's right.
And you
Yeah.
still placed 12th, which is incredible. So come
Yeah.
on. Now, can you walk us through what you feel has contributed to all your success from like the very first time you stepped on stage to now qualifying for the Olympia or trying to?
Sure. Attributed to my success, I would say I've always had a really good work ethic and I've always been really competitive, just not in athletics. I was not athletic at all growing up. So this just kind of resonated with me. Um, can you just ask the question again? I want to make sure I
Yeah,
answer it
of
like
course. Yeah. So like looking
okay.
back on when you started
Yeah.
competing to now, like what do you think has really
Right.
made you successful?
Yeah. I've had really good coaches. I've had 2 coaches. Adam Mackay was my first coach. He's the one that actually got me into bodybuilding and was the one that asked me if I'd ever thought about it.
Wow.
So he taught me a lot of my fundamental movements and I think that was really helpful in helping me to build muscle as a novice, right? And then after my first show, I switched coaches and went to Ammer the Hammer.
Mhm.
And likewise, he's an excellent coach. I think it really comes down to consistency and dedication, and that means ticking the boxes every day and not missing meals and training your best and hardest and always learning and staying open to critique and criticism. And And I think also genetics do play a role.
Absolutely. Now
Hmm.
let's talk about that for a second, because I think that's one of those things where a lot of people want to sweep it under the rug. Like, I don't
Yep.
want to acknowledge that my genetics may not be best for this sport,
Right.
or may not be optimal. And what stands out to me about you is you are a natural athlete. You turned pro natural as well. So do you feel
Yes.
that has something to do with your genetics, or is there an optimal genetic structure we're looking for?
Well, I'm not sure how to, I guess, say what the genetic structure is that we're looking for. I just know that there are some people that have the right, muscle shapes and muscle belly insertions and the right balance of features and that sort of thing. And they're able to put on muscle easier than some other people, or maybe they're able to eat more than other people and things like that. And for sure, that can give you a step up above people that maybe don't have those same things.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's also, like you said, there's the consistency, there's the ticking the boxes every day, there's having the right people on your team to support you. And I really like that you said learning from critiques. So,
Mhm.
what's the critiques you've been working on from when you started to when you got your pro card to now that you are competing professionally?
For sure. The critiques I get, I always ask for the judges' feedback. I think that's a very valuable thing to do. It's probably one of the most important things you can do after a show. Um, I always get the critique of building more upper glute and a little bit more hamstrings. And most recently, it's been my definitely my posing and presentation. It's my weaker point. So I've hired Tangi Johnson to help me do a bit of posing practice and work on my stage presence because you know, once you're in the pro league, it kind of, you can't just get by just making do. You gotta do your best and ask for help when you need it, because if you're not doing your best, other people are just going to be that much better than you.
Wow, I'm actually really surprised to hear that. So what do you feel needs to improve with your posing or your stage presence?
So there are certain areas of your physique that just aren't going to be as strong as others. So posing in a way where I can kind of hide those flaws and accentuate some of my better qualities. And also, I think just working on a little bit more confidence. I'm confident when I'm out there, but I know that I'm just slightly holding back. Do you know what I mean? I know that I could loosen up a little bit, and I know that I could work on that, and that just takes time and practice, right? And I think that having somebody mentor you, like I think Tangi is a she's an amazing posing coach. I've learned from her before when she came out here for a seminar, and she's just a really great teacher, and she's been teaching it since 2002. So, why not learn from somebody who's got all that experience?
I love that. And
Yeah.
how did you go about picking your current coach? Because I know when you started working with Amber, you
Yeah.
wrote him an email. You were like, I'm going to go pro with you. We're going to execute. So what
Yeah.
did you like? What guided that decision? And why were you so confident that that would be the case?
We, I had talked to some other coaches beforehand and just been not rubbed the wrong way, but nothing really seemed to fit and it didn't feel quite right. And when I reached out to Amber, he got back to me immediately and, said, call me right now. And we had a really good conversation. He shared, like, he didn't keep things private. He didn't say, oh, after you hire me, then I'll tell you. He just was really open and honest with me, and I really, really respect that and appreciate that. I don't like games. I don't have time for that. So
Mhm.
we just kind of picked up from there, and he asked me what my goal was, and I said I want to go pro. And he said that he would help me get there. So it's just we work really well together. We communicate well, and here we are.
That's awesome. And
Mhm.
I know that a lot of what you do is you focus on enjoying and celebrating the accomplishments you've had while also using them to look ahead and dream bigger. And you've set the goal to qualify for the Olympia. So what are you doing
Mhm.
to make that possible?
Definitely, we're with definitely the posing and the presentation practice and that sort of work. More training, just trying to keep adding a little bit more muscle strategically in areas, and I'm gonna try and bring my waist in a little bit, like just a little bit more vacuuming and stuff like that. And I think just more time. I'm still like it's. I think
Mhm.
I went back and I counted. I think it's only been about 33 or 34 months since
Wow.
I started this journey, right? And I know that some of the girls that I'm competing against have been doing it a little bit longer than me, right? So, and I fully get that I just need more time. So I'm just trying to make the most of my time and put in the time, but you know what I mean. Just I'm 42
Absolutely.
and want to make the most of it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people in your age range, if you want to say that, would be
For
like,
sure.
oh, how is that possible? Or how is
Yeah.
she doing it? So is part of your, maybe I should just ask you like what your why is, and does it have anything to do with that?
Oh, for sure. I like to win. Winning is kind of the thing for me. And I want to be my best. I really love coaching. I love bodybuilding. I love fitness, all of it. I love competition. I love that I get to do it with my partner, and we share the same passion. So I just everything about it I love, and I feel really blessed and grateful to do it. And if I can inspire the people that I'm coaching and people that are following me on social media and, give them the desire to want to do the same or even just to make positive change in their life, that's really what gives me the energy to keep going.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I I imagine that why must be very strong in every season because you've been through a lot. And I know you, because yes, it's been 34 months or whatever since
Yeah.
you started, but
Hmm.
within just the span of the last year, you tore your ACL, you got surgery, you were out of training, you saw your daughter graduate, you sold your house, you moved to a new city, you launched your businesses, you supported others and launched their business, you competed in 5 shows, you won your pro card, you began your pro journey. I mean, there's got to be something there. When you said work ethic, that's what I'm envisioning. So what keeps you focused? Like, what do you think makes a good work ethic?
You have to want it. Everybody everybody wants to be successful and everybody wants to look good, but I think a lot of times we get put off by the work. So I want it really bad. And I know that the work is something that has to be done. And I just really enjoy it.
I think that's the key, is like if you don't enjoy the work required to get even close to the outcome you're envisioning, then it's
Mhm.
probably not the right path for you.
Well, there like the other side to it is like there are going to be parts that you don't love, right?
Yes.
I don't love being as hungry as I am in prep, right? Like I don't love that part. I don't love the insomnia that comes with it.
Hmm.
There are things like you don't have to necessarily love every part of it, but you have to be, I think, so in love with the outcome that that stuff doesn't matter. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
No,
Yeah.
yeah, a different and interesting perspective because like
Mhm.
I think you're right. Those parts of the process we don't love, we're likely
Mhm.
motivated to execute anyways because we know the outcome will make it even more worthwhile, whether that's a win or it's just knowing that you did what you said you would do, like that is rewarding, or it's
You
your
bet.
why, like inspiration or being able to share this with somebody else. It's definitely motivating. And I like that you brought that up too. Like there are parts that suck, but you gotta, as David Goggins says, embrace the suck.
Yeah, for sure you do. Right? It's like, yeah, it's going to suck, but like sitting and pissing and moaning about it isn't going to change it. It's going to make it harder. So why do that?
And on the side of things that suck sometimes in prep, there's also those things that can be difficult in an improvement season. And in February, you had shared that you were like 13
Yeah.
pounds up from stage weight. You were
Yeah.
moving slower, feeling full. You had softness in your
Yep.
physique, but you were embracing your shapes and sizes because you know it serves a purpose. And
You bet.
you were eating a lot more food. And I'm wondering if you could share how this time supported what you've now been able to accomplish to, kind of bolster up that belief that the outcome really can keep you driven.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think so. Are you talking about February of this year?
Yeah, or maybe it wasn't. I
Yes.
might be off about that. I think it might have been back in 2021, but when you did your building season, you were 51
Oh,
days.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, that was intense. Yeah, definitely. I got to my heaviest and I think I was 175 pounds and um but it was definitely a good season. I didn't feel bad about it because I knew that what I was gaining was necessary to be competitive.
Mm. And when you were showing up every day and you were feeling, uncomfortable at times and recognizing that this was necessary to get there, like what did you notice when you started your prep that was beneficial about that phase versus had you avoided going into that phase?
Like avoided going into the grow phase.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I think you need that a little bit of time where you can bring those calories back up and give your brain a bit of ease and kind of refuel your body and get your hormones balanced and all that sort of thing. Then you're going into a prep and you're feeling fresh as opposed to feeling run down and worn out because it doesn't translate well on stage if you show up looking tired and exhausted.
So true. Have you ever
Hmm.
done that?
Yep.
When was that and what
So,
happened?
so Toronto was it was a last minute decision to do that show, and I don't regret it, but I definitely learned something from that. It was only a 5 week prep.
Wow.
I didn't have enough time. We didn't have enough time to do what we normally do or what Amber would normally do for me, which is lean me all the way out and then fill me back up, so that my muscles are, popping and that sort of thing. And we got to the depletion stage and we just ran out of time to fill me out properly. So in Vancouver, I had that additional 5 weeks to kind of, complete that portion of it and placed better. So that was great. So now we know not to be rushing preps and, really take our time.
So what was it that made you guys want to jump into that show?
I pushed. I wanted to.
Mm.
I wanted to be ready for Toronto. I had planned. Okay. I'll rewind it a bit. I got a mini facelift earlier this year,
Mm-hmm.
just because, you know, just because I wanted it and I
Yeah.
needed it. So there you go. And and the healing from that just took a little bit longer than I expected, and it just kind of set my schedule a little bit behind. So I had intended to be ready for Toronto, and just the healing set me back a bit.
Got it.
Yeah.
And how long did that recovery take?
It was only supposed to take 2 weeks, but it ended up taking me probably about four before I felt better. So that was
Wow.
additional, like 2 weeks of no training. And then, you know, when you stop training for weeks on end, you take a big step back, a big step back. So it was hard.
Yeah, I mean, even just getting back in the groove and helping your body to like reacclimate can be tough.
For sure. For sure. And surgery is savage, right? Like your body, even a relatively small surgery still affects you, and your body is still kind of reeling and slightly traumatized, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And you did get ACL a repair surgery at some point too. So what were those 6 weeks of recovery like, and how did you come back from that?
I did not do ACL recovery surgery.
Oh, what?
I still have a torn ACL. I got breast implants and was off for six
Oh,
weeks then,
got
but
it. So you still have a torn ACL?
I do.
Oh my gosh. Now, is that something you
Yes.
plan to get repaired?
You know what? It hasn't been bothering me.
Oh,
But
good.
if it ever does, like I get little pains here and there, but it's all manageable. If it ever turns into a situation where I can't do what I do, then that's something I'll have to look at. But for now, I'm all
Wow.
good.
Well, then walk us through like getting your breast augmentation and how this
Sure.
impacted you, or what inspired you to do that, and how that recovery influenced your journey moving forward.
You bet. I had always wanted to do it and just, I think I put it off because I was scared of it and
Hmm.
I don't know. So I just, after competing in the T Zone Naturals, which was my first show, just kind of started paying more attention to the pro competitors out there and saw that some of the girls do have implants. And it was already something that I wanted and had just been putting off. And so I went and saw Dr. Smith here in Victoria, BC at Clinic 805, just because he's touted to be the best, and he absolutely is. And he walked me through the whole process and took away any fear that I might have, and ultimately gave me, a breast augmentation that I'm really happy with. So,
Um,
yeah, it was
What
really good.
was
It was a positive experience.
it was the fear about the experience or about other things?
I think it was like I've seen a lot of stories and posts and heard from a lot of women about um, having poor side effects from the breast augmentation, or having pain, or even having to have them removed. And I think it just made me scared to just even, like, I didn't even want to do it just because of that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds awful. But then again, like, you know, those are some stories. They're not every story. So I thought, well, why not go and talk to a professional about it and have them look at me and talk to me and kind of learn a little bit about me, and it took away all of my anxiety and fear about it.
That's awesome.
Mm.
And has it changed how you train?
No, not really, because I never trained chest before, and no, it hasn't changed how I train.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So it was worth it.
it was totally worth it. I love it. I've been pretty small my whole life, and I feel like it really fills out my frame, and yeah, I love them.
That's awesome. I love that you like did your research and did it for you, and like figured out what would
Yeah,
make you most comfortable.
for sure. Yeah, you got to be happy, right? You're the person that you're going to live with for the rest of your life. So no matter what anybody else around you says, you got to live with you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Speaking of living with yourself and being happy with yourself,
Hmm.
you have a lot of different roles in your life, and you quit a career to
Hmm.
pursue many of these endeavors. Did you have fears with that leap? Was that a leap you knew you wanted to take?
Yeah, it was. I went through a divorce just a couple of years ago, and that was a big motivating event for me in terms of really evaluating what I wanted to do in my life, and you know ask myself why I was doing what I was doing. Um, yeah, I needed a change. I think I held on to design a little bit too long, and just starting with bodybuilding lit a fire in me and just ignited a passion. And the more I continued to do it, the more I fell in love with it, and the more strength I got, and the more courage I got. And it's just kind of a snowball effect. And, I ended up meeting my partner, Andrew, and he actually started Ruthless Sports, and I bought into it. So just
Nice.
little things like that, like just starting to not be as afraid about, following your dreams and, when life starts unfolding in front of you, not wasting those opportunities.
Absolutely. And I think it's hard sometimes though to like trust that it's the right opportunity or that it's going to make a difference. And for me personally, I told myself like no matter what, if you take a risk in business or you
Hmm.
take a leap of faith, if you have the confidence that you can rebuild it and you know that that's the journey you want to take, then no matter what happens, you'll find a way.
Oh, I so agree. Yeah.
Is that what's really inspired you to like go for it and invest in a supplement company or start the coaching business?
Well, I think everything, because everything is all in the industry, in the fitness industry, everything kind of feeds into everything else, right? So the competing feeds into the supplements, and that feeds into the coaching, and my partner owns a gym here in Victoria, so it helps feed into the memberships and vice versa, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, all of the businesses kind of feed into each other, and that's helpful, and it keeps things
definitely.
interesting.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, running a supplement company alone is not just a huge
Hmm.
investment from like testing to launch, but
Yeah.
it's the recurring business as well, and it's the growth. And I know you're planning to get out
Yeah,
into North America soon too, which is cool. Now,
you bet.
are you guys trying to go global with this brand? Like, what do you envision?
Oh, I mean, ultimately, wouldn't that be really cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right now we're just in Canada, and our online store will be live soon and be able to sell product, direct to consumer here in Canada and in the US. Um, we'll be in our local supplement stores here, and maybe a couple of gyms here and there, but that's about it. Mostly just online.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet? How did you and your partner meet?
We met at a posing seminar.
Really?
Yes, where Tangi Johnson was teaching posing, actually. So my
Oh,
Andrew um, co-promotes the Vancouver Island Showdown here in Victoria, BC, which is a pro-am show. We had our first pro segment this year. Anyhow, he was putting on a posing seminar, and I came to it, and I met him, and I was still married at the time, but we just became friends. And um, anyhow, after my divorce, we just kind of connected and just became best friends. And then I came down to visit him one weekend, and I guess the rest is history.
that is super
Oh,
awesome. Now,
thank
you don't have
you.
to answer this question because maybe it's vulnerable or too much, but like, were you already in a difficult spot with your marriage at that point when you guys met, or was it like you had no idea that eventually that relationship would become more?
Oh, I didn't. So at the time, definitely my relationship was in trouble. I think it had been probably right from the beginning. Um, but yeah, it was in trouble right from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it at the time. Do you know what I mean? You can be in
Yeah.
denial and you just kind of keep on going. And you just think, well, this is, well, at least for me, I just kind of thought, well, this is the way things are. So just suck it up, buttercup.
Like, would you say
But then
you were just comfortable with status quo or?
I would say that I was just more scared than anything.
Do you mind expanding on that? Like what you were, I mean, you really don't have to
Yeah,
talk about it, but
it's
I was just
okay. Like,
curious.
I think scared to make a move, um, scared to try to do things on my own after being in a relationship where you're not supported, to feel like
Mm,
you can do things on your own. So it was a pretty big move for me.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. It took me 17 years.
Yeah. And you did it. And it's
Yeah.
now you're pursuing so much on your own and
Yeah.
you're taking those chances
You
on
bet.
yourself.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's really exciting. It just, you know, quite honestly, my worst days right now, or sorry, yeah, my worst days right now are better than my best days before. I always get them mixed up
Wow.
because I use that. I it's yeah, it's when you're living a life that's not authentic to you, it's just really sad, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
it's a good testimony that it's never too late.
never, never too late. Life is too short to not be happy. Please don't stay in unhappy, unhealthy situations just because you think that's all there is, because it's not true.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What was it that empowered you to take that? I don't know what the word is like, but face that fear and leave.
Ultimately, it was just over time, you can only take so much,
Hmm.
right? And just I think the continual building of strength, like through bodybuilding, not the physical strength, but just from the discipline and from me being able to do something that nobody could take away from me, was like
Mhm.
so empowering for me. And then, you know, that I think combined with, you know, the way things are at home, you can only take so much, right? And then you're just like, I'm good. I'm so, you know, I'm good. And I'm sure any other woman who's been in the same situation would be like, yeah, for sure. So,
Totally.
yeah,
I really appreciate sharing that because I have a feeling you're not like you're probably like the 2.0 version of someone else who's listening.
probably.
Hmm.
Probably. I'm sure there's a lot of girls out there that are, you know, just not in a situation where they're being supported or being treated right, or um, possibly even being treated poorly. And
Hmm.
it's not okay.
So bodybuilding really kind of lit this fire of supporting yourself and your goals and prioritizing yourself and your goals rather than like
Hmm.
always pleasing other people.
You bet. You bet.
How does it help you to show up in the various roles of your life? Like, how does bodybuilding support you in being the mom you want to be or the business owner you want to be?
Um, it helps me to stay really organized, or it forces me to stay really organized. And I think it I think it helps me to cut out the bullshit a little bit and cut out the noise and, you know, zero in on what's at hand. Um, I think the fitness aspect of it too allows you to have more energy. I know I have more energy, and, you know, being in shape and that sort of thing, it certainly doesn't hurt.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I don't know how else I could relate bodybuilding to being a mom. My daughter's older though, right? She's 18
Mhm.
and she doesn't need a lot of momming right now. But
Mm.
yeah, I guess it just helps me stay organized and maybe show her that you can follow your dreams and follow your passions and make that something, right?
Aw, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure she probably looks up to
Yeah.
you. And what does she think of your lifestyle?
She's just really happy that I'm happy and that I'm
Mm.
pursuing my dreams finally. She's very supportive,
Wow,
very supportive.
that is so cool.
Yeah, she's a cool girl.
I love that. And I just love
Yeah.
how you see bodybuilding as something that helps you stay organized too, because I
Mhm.
think that's such a benefit is like the routine and the not the I don't know that predictability is the right word, but kind of like if you know you have like X meals that you're eating or cardio to do or training, like it's a constant in our life. And I think we could all
Mhm.
benefit from having something we are intensely focused on, like with a vision, with a plan, knowing like we are executing daily. Like that's very rewarding and it's very direction giving.
Yes, I agree.
So So what do you foresee for yourself as an athlete over the next 5 years?
That's a great question. Um, I hope that I will have gotten to the Olympia stage by then.
Mhm.
Um, I just want to keep competing. I really love doing shows and I love continuing to improve and learn and grow. And, the sky is really the limit. I'm not going to put limits on myself. And I just really hope that at that point I will have been on the Olympia stage.
Yes, I love your limitless mentality.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
like clear. You speak with you're very straight to the point and you know exactly what it is for you. It's like I'm not going to put limits on myself. I believe in myself. I've overcome a lot. Like I'm getting that vibe of like
Yeah,
now I do what I want and I do it without any shame.
you bet.
So awesome.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, for sure. And it seems like you've always been a very driven woman, and bodybuilding has given even more purpose to that. And you're working as a coach too. So,
Mhm.
how does your experience in fitness and your own journey influence your approach to supporting others?
It's, I think working with the coaches that I have, I've learned a lot from them. I've learned a lot from, again, Andrew, my partner. He's been in the bodybuilding world for over 10 years now. He's an extremely well accomplished bodybuilder. And yeah, I've learned so much from him and Amber and Adam. And it's helped me to be a better coach. And I think also just I have the knowledge of all of the things that I've been through in terms of bodybuilding and training and nutrition and competitions and preps and not just the physical struggles but the mental struggles as well and understanding what's going on and being able to help my clients that way. So I think it's really helpful.
Definitely.
Yeah,
It makes a difference to be able to just empathize and relate to someone.
you bet.
So, with that said, what would be your best advice for someone who's never competed before but would like to? And then your best advice for someone on their road to pro?
Okay. Best advice for somebody who'd like to compete who has never competed before. I would first ask them if they've been to a bodybuilding show. And if they have not, encourage them to go and watch one. And better yet, go volunteer at one and understand what it's all about. And I think also really asking themselves why they want to compete. Is it just a one time thing? Like, I just want to prove to myself that I can do this? Or are you looking at the sport thinking like, I really like this and I would love to be a pro up there on stage one day and really pursue this as something serious? Just trying to find out, where are you in that group? um, for people just about to start prep, best advice to give people just starting prep.
And they want to go pro.
Be consistent. Just be consistent. Be prepared to work hard. And it's a really competitive world out there. And hire a good coach. You
Mm-hmm.
need guidance. I mean, even coaches need coaches, right? So you need guidance. Make sure you have a support network around you, allies, family, friends that understand what you're doing and understand what you'll be going through and who will support you and not try to get you to eat treats or get you to quit or all of those things that some people do. You know what I mean? Like offering sympathy, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I know it's so hard, have this, or oh, I know you could take a day off. That's not helpful. You need that support group that's going to be like, hey, I know you're tired, but you can do this. Hey, I know we're eating this stuff around you. Don't worry, you go do your thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so
Mhm.
important to have that support network where people are truly supportive of what you do, because it, as much as it's just you on the stage, it takes a team. It takes more than just you. You need those support people.
So true.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your advice and sharing much of your journey with us. Now, can you let everybody know how they could connect with you or follow your journey and even inquire about working with you?
You bet. You could DM me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. My Instagram handle is just Karen Orlina. Yeah, that's the best way to reach out to me and follow my journey. I'm trying to think if there's any other ways. If you want to check out my supplement business that I own with Andrew, Ruthless Sports, the website is www.ruthlesssports.com.
Awesome. I'll
Yeah,
put your YouTube, I'll just put all your links in our
yeah,
show notes page.
yeah.
So that's always on celestial.fit/podcast. You guys, it's alphabetized in the category section. So if you're listening to this in the future, just scroll down and find Karen's name there. And if you're listening to this right away, it'll be at the very top, and you'll not just see all those links, but you're also going to see full episode timestamps, summary of the episode, and the topics that we covered. So you know exactly what to tell your friends when you share it with them. So
Awesome.
appreciate you guys listening. And Karen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun.
I'm glad. It was my pleasure.
That's great.
Seriously. And I hope
Oh,
that you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode.